Om Ajnana Timandasya Sansana Satsvunvitam Vina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutam Swam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shiyo Shiyuda Padakaman Shigum Vaishnavam Sham Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Gopesha Koprakanta Radkanta Mastate Tapta Kanchna Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Krishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriya Pancha Kalpta Visha Kripa Sindhuvisha Patinam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachari Desatarana Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Sraddha Madan ki, Shri Gaunitai ki. So today we will be speaking on the stage of Anartha Nivritti. That what came before Anartha Nivritti, the stage before Bhajana Kriya. And Bhajana Kriya had two sub-stages. What are the sub-stages? Anishtita and Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. Unstudied devotional service and studied devotional service. You have here unstudied devotional service. 6 symptoms. If we overcome them, we come to study devotional service. But then we may not yet be entered Anartha Nivritti. Although we are chanting the holy names of Krishna, the chanting of the holy names has a minimal effect. Well, it has some effect. We will hear about that because tomorrow we will speak about the eradication or the nullification of the anarthas. But one anartha is not the same as another anartha. There are different categories of anarthas, and some anarthas are tough to deal with, and others more easy. And we will learn that. Which anarthas are most dangerous, difficult to remove, and which anarthas are more easy. And those who are more easy to remove, in Bhajana Kriya that start to take place already. But first we have to get acquainted with these different kinds of anarthas. And we will look at the anarthas, the categories that we find from Madhurya Kanambina, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He comes up with 4 types. And Haridas Thakur, initially he begins with 3 types. So of course, in Madhurya Kanambini, the focus is on the process of devotional service, which knows 9 angas, 9. Shravana Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Varnam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. It was a verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his father. His father did not like it, but 9 kinds of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Hearing about Krishna, remembering that and speaking about Krishna. We do that also. We are supposed to do that also when we chant the holy name. That's the process of hearing and chanting, but also the hearing and chanting of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. That's also hearing and chanting. But of course, the Harinam Chintamani will focus on these three aspects, because the chanting means speaking, glorifying, hearing, and remembering Krishna. Whereas the Madhurya Kanambini speaks about devotional service as a general process of the 9 angas, which include deity worship and so on. Now, so once we have come to the successful performance of bhajana kriya, performance of devotional service. You remember the example I gave yesterday of the child who is imitating the mother in cooking with a toy kitchen. So that's bhajana kriya. Mostly the external part is there, but the real thing, the devotion, is not yet there. Because the devotion can only enter our heart when the anarthas go out. That's the point. That is also explained in Harinam Chintamani. There, the chanting of the holy name, Anartha Nivritti, has the name Nam Abhas. We are Namabhas means we are chanting the holy name, but we get only the shadow of the holy name, not the real holy name. Because the holy name is the holy name, but it's clouded by anarthas. That's the problem. Therefore, we don't have the devotional feeling when we chant. But still we chant on the order of the spiritual master. And if our offenses are going, these anarthas are forms of offenses, they cause offensive mentality, that by that the chanting has not the full effect. But as we give up the offenses, then this Anartha Nivritti starts, the cleansing of the heart, the cleansing of lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and so on. It disappears gradually. And then the more it disappears, the more we feel taste in the chanting. The more we feel attracted to the chanting, the more we feel attracted to Krishna. So the devotional feelings start to come gradually, but it's a reflection. But that reflection is so powerful that it brings you to the point of liberation. Liberation means the heart is completely pure. Liberation means Brahma Bhuta Pashanatmana Shostina Kamshati. There's no material desire anymore. Zero. That's liberation. And no hankering anymore. Because one does not identify with the body anymore. It's a very high platform, but once you have that platform, it's called Nishtha. When you have attained that Nishtha, you become very attracted to Krishna and his holy name. That it becomes ruchi, great taste is there. And then it goes, this jali, this devotion stand to develop. So, but before we come to this nishtha, before the heart, if the heart is still contaminated, then if we chant the holy name without offenses, effect is that it will cleanse the heart. And surely we get taste. And when the heart is completely cleansed and we continue to chant, then Haridas the Guru said, then we chant the Sudhanam, the pure name. And we chant with a purity of heart this holy name, then it doesn't purify your heart anymore. It's pure already. Then the effect will be that you will develop love for Krishna. That's called the Sudhanam. So that is what Haridas Thakur explains. But first, let's try to understand these anarthas. So if we are, just wait a minute, I will give, yeah. So successful performance of Bhajana Kriya, one becomes studying one's devotional service, is followed by Anartha Nivritti. Anartha Nivritti means all bad qualities that hamper our progress in bhakti, all bad qualities that keeps us, that are obstructions to develop our relationship with Krishna, they are removed gradually. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said they are of 5 or 4 kinds. Now the next slide. Then we see these 4 kinds of anarthas. It says first, it says there are the anarthas from previous sinful activities. That's our karma. That all the anarthas from our previous sinful activities. They may not have been fructified, maybe still in the seed stage, but that's the first kind of anartha. And the second type is anarthas arising from previous pious activities, good activities you have done. These are activities described in the Vedas as karma kanda. And they give us a result that you get enjoyment and more enjoyment in this world. But the problem is you become attached to the result of these pious activities. You become attached to this enjoyment. And that keeps you in this material world. So because you have to take birth for that again. And it prolongs your suffering in this material world. These so-called good activities. So they are also bad activities in that sense from the spiritual viewpoint. That because some classify these anarthas from pious activities, they put it also under the sinful activities. It is sinful in the sense that we still want to enjoy Krishna's property, which is meant for his enjoyment. Although it gives good, so-called good activities, we think they are good because it gives pleasure to the body. But we are not the body. What with the soul? Are we only concerned with the body? No, we should not be concerned with the mind and with the body, that's all temporary. But with the condition of our heart, And then there are activities, there are anarthas arising from or offenses against devotional service. We perform sometimes offenses in our service. They are described all, I think, 34 offenses or something, are described in Nectar of Devotion. If you come into the temple with your shoes, that would be an offense. And that's offenses. And then offenses arising from imperfectly performing bhakti. So these are different kinds of offenses. So what are these anarthas coming from previous sinful activities? We have heard about this. These are the 5 kleshas. Next slide. Here they are. That is covering our consciousness. These 5 kleshas. And these 5 kleshas, and it comes all from the root causes of vidya, forgetting Krishna. Because if we forget Krishna, then we forget our position, and we forget our relationship with Krishna. So one cannot enter Anartha Nivritti if one is not situated in proper Sambandha Jnana. Sambandha Jnana is the knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. If you want to have a relationship with someone, you must know who the person is, right? And you must know your position. And then you can build a relationship. So we must know Krishna is the supreme, unlimited person, and we are insignificant parts of him, servants. And it's our duty to serve the whole, to serve Krishna with love. And that serving with love, that is Abhideya Jnana. How to do that is Abhideya Jnana, how to engage in devotional service. It requires some knowledge. That if someone thinks, yes, that the absolute truth is impersonal Brahman, and I'm also Brahman, then you cannot have a relationship with Krishna. Then this chanting of the holy name will not have much effect. Because it's an offensive mentality. One wants to become Krishna, and then you chant the holy name to attain that. It's quite offensive. So these are these 5 kleshas, that ignorance, false ego, asmita, attachment and hatred, and addiction to evil. So but these are anarthas coming from sinful activities, but the anarthas coming from pious activities that makes us addicted to the result of these pious activities. So one can come, by that one can be situated in goodness and thinking, yeah, life is good. Life is good, it's peaceful, I'm respected, joy, and that everything goes well. That's a big obstacle to devotional service. Then you don't want to move from that position. Everything is good in this material world. No, mostly to make advancement in devotional service, one must be out of the comfort zone, because this material world is not a comfortable situation. That's just an illusion. We may die every moment. It's just, but we think everything is all right. That's the mode of goodness. And that's dangerous. That's a great obstacle. And that, yeah. Therefore, some people say these pious activities, these anarthas from that, they put them also under these kleshas, because this tendency for enjoyment in a mode of goodness or getting liberation, that prolongs one's existence of suffering in the material world. And then you have anarthas arising from offenses. Yeah, these are from the pious activities that we explained. Next one. So now the anarthas from offenses. Two kinds of anarthas. First, nama parat and seva apparat. That seva apparat have to do with offenses in deity worship. We may not follow all the rules and regulations and make some offenses during the worship. Yes, they are not a direct cause of anarthas. Because this seva apparat, usually for the devotee who are chanting 16 rounds and follows regulated principles and here regularly the Bhagavatam engage in devotional service, then this seva apparat is not much effect because it is counteracted automatically during your performance of devotional service. So by constant service and by chanting the holy name and recitation of specific verses also, the pujaris know that they worship the deity, mantrainam, prenainam, that these are prayers for asking forgiveness for the offenses. When we chant, when we come from the altar, we chant these prayers. And that also counteracts seva apparat. So that these anarthas, seva apparat, usually cannot grow. That, of course, we should not take advantage and purposely commit seva apparat, because then if you do it purposely, it becomes nama apparat, and that's serious. So nama apparat, that is clouding the holy name, this nama apparat. And the point with nama apparat is that it cannot be counteracted. It's not possible. Only by continuous chanting of the holy names in the long run, it will surely be removed. But it takes a long time, this nama apparat. So better is to prevent the nama apparat. That we will come a little further to that. So next one. Now we are going to Harinam Chintamana. in Harinam Chintamani Kar, Haridas Thakur, he classifies, or he brings up 3 categories of anarthas. The first is asat trishna, thirst for material objects, hridaya darbalyam, miserliness of heart, and then offense apparat. So, but we will see it comes to the same point. Factually, these are 3, but they are factually 4. Well, because the third, the apparat, the offense, is also split up in seva apparat and nama apparat. But asat trishna, asat, sat means eternal. Asat, that which does not exist, which has no eternal existence. Matter, asat. Trishna, that's in English, thirst. Thirst. Being thirsty for that things, for eating and enjoying that things. Asat, Trishna. Then craving, just desiring to enjoy material objects in this world. But also, karma kanda is under that. That's also enjoyment, but enjoyment in the next life, in the heavenly planets. That's karma kanda. That. Or having a desire for mystic powers, like the yogis. Or desiring to merge with Brahman, like the Jnanis. That's all in the same category, according to Haridas Thakur. So that's the first category. The weakness of heart, hridaya darbalyam, this attachment to trifling things in this world. That's more on the subtle level. Like envy. Envy means you feel sorry about this person has so much, is enjoying so much, and I don't have that facility for enjoyment, so I become envious. But everything is from Krishna. So practically, it's a manifestation of envy towards Krishna. That is asat trishna. And longing for position and fame, for profit and distinction, for recognition. That's all weakness of heart. This world is going on because of envy, competition. Everything belongs to Krishna, but everyone wants to enjoy Krishna's resources. The problem is they want to enjoy the same resources, and then there is competition and envy and strife, and that the weakness of heart. Haridas Thakur said. And then the offenses. So Haridas Thakur explains the same thing, but in other words. He says, you have offenses to the holy name, and you have offenses to Krishna. Offenses to the holy name is nama apparat, offenses to Krishna is seva apparat. But he says, yeah, there is a third kind of apparat. And these are offenses to all other living entities. So we don't kill other living entities unnecessarily or harm them. So these anarthas, they are clouding the holy name. Holy name becomes obstructed, and one cannot experience the full transcendental nature of the name. So then he writes, the living entity will continue under the shadow of Namabhas as long as he is ignorant of Sambandha Tattva. That's interesting. So you may even overcome these anarthas. Still, if your Sambandha Gyan is not realized in the heart, you will still not come to the chanting of the pure name. Still clouded. Because that means we must be aware of our position. So what Krishna is, who we are, what our relationship is. But that means you can only be situated in that relationship in purity when you do everything for the pleasure of Krishna and do not ask anything for yourself. So therefore a devotee, he wants to develop love for Krishna. He wants to attain that platform of love of Krishna, but he has no desire to go back to Godhead in the pure state. Wherever you bring me, Krishna says, in the material world or the spiritual world, I'm your servant, I will serve you. I will do whatever you want me to do. But he's not praying to Krishna, bring me back to Godhead. That would put a focus on himself. And therefore it doesn't become pure. It does not mean that the devotee does not go back to Godhead. It does not mean that we cannot desire to go back to Godhead. In the beginning, that's certainly very good. But in the advanced stage, it must be abundant to come to the pure stage. So therefore, because that's being purely situated in one's relationship with Krishna, and engaging in that relationship is abhideya, or the process of devotion and service. So we must have the process with the correct knowledge of that relationship. Because we are in this material world. We are in this material world because we have forgotten that we are an eternal servant of Krishna. And we were looking in this world for happiness. So that means we were not situated in Sambandha Gyan. No, we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna. Because this universe is a prison house for the jivas, and it's like a reformatory institute. It's therefore reformation. That's why we are here. That you go into the prison to be reformed. Because we were turning away our face from Krishna. So the material world is a place for our purification, and that purification is meant to bring us to the correct knowledge of this Sambandha, to remind us, oh, you are not the controller and the enjoyer. Krishna is, and you are the servant. So but still, if we can give up, overcome these anarthas, or we are in the process of overcoming them by giving up the offenses, then we enter a namabhas. And namabhas is anartha nivritti. It's the same. It purifies the heart. So it's so powerful, this namabhas, that it brings you to the point of liberation. It's higher than the activities of yoga, chanting in namabhas. It's higher than performing sacrifices. It's higher than performing the varnashram rule. It's higher than performing austerities, because it will lead us straight to bhakti, to the beginning of performing pure devotional service. Because the process of yoga and austerities and so on, they do not lead to bhakti. They will never lead to bhakti. Yes. So just by chanting in namabhas, all the effects of Kali Yuga can be overcome. One can purify the heart, become peaceful. So even one can go with chanting namabhas up to the border of Vaikuntha. So powerful. Just giving up all this apparatus and this weakness of heart and this attachment to things in this world. But namabhas has four types. You have lower types of namabhas and higher types of namabhas. That's now more subtle. That you have Sanketa, Parihas, Stoba, and Hela. The first example for Sanketa, so one chants the holy name, but with a specific material conception. Or one chants it unintentionally. There is another object, but unintentionally chants the holy name. So an example of this is the Yavana Muslim who was dying because he was hit by a boar, by the tusk of a boar in the stomach. And he was dying. And he was calling out in Persian, Haram, Haram. Haram in Persian means this is very abominable. And he was calling out Haram while he was chanting. But the syllables Ha and Ram, they form the name of the Lord accidentally. But still, he got liberation. Also, Ajamil was calling his son Narayan. So, but he meant to call his son, but still it was so powerful that it acted, and he was protected by the Vishnu Dutas. So he's chanting this holy name, but not with the intention to get something out of it. Not to fulfill material desires or to attain something, So there is no Namaparat. There is no Namaparat. But there is no correct Sambandha. Therefore, it's in the lower stages of Namabhas. And then you have Stoba or derision. Sisupal was also chanting Krishna's name but he was envious of Krishna. And yeah. So these are different kinds of Namabhas. Jarasandha was chanting Krishna's name in jest, in a joking mode. So these are examples of Namabhas. But if one chants Namabhas, you can get everything. You can fulfill all your desires, even Namabhas. But there's one thing you cannot get by Namabhas. It's Prema. It's love for Krishna. But we need to get, Haridas Thakur said, we need to come to the point of chanting Sraddha Namabhas. Sraddha, we have faith in the holy name. And then the Anarthas will quickly go, he says. And the pure name will be revealed. So when one comes to the chanting of the pure name, the Sudanam, then one will get love of Godhead very quickly. So Namabhas cannot give us Krishna Prema, but it brings us to the stage of where we can chant the Sudanam, and just by following the instructions of the spiritual master. Thus, the conclusion is of Haridas Thakur, thus provided one does not commit Namaparat, Namabhas is praiseworthy. So the problem is really this Namabhas. We chant every morning. Yeah, in most temples they chant it every morning, the 10 offenses. Not here. But in Ujjain, where I come from, every morning, the 10 offenses in Sanskrit, and then in Hindi. They speak Hindi there. So we chant this every morning, repeat it every morning, because it's so important. What is the problem with Namabhas? Namabhas brings you in a situation where this Sambandha Jnana does not really manifest. We may know it theoretically, I'm a servant of Krishna, but the mentality of a servant is a mentality of being respectful to the master. And that's the problem with Namabharat. There are 10 offenses. And what are these 10 offenses about? They are all forms of disrespect. Disrespect towards devotees. Disrespect towards the holy name. Disrespect towards the instructions of the spiritual master. Go avakya. That. And then not understanding what the holy name is. Not understanding what the holy name is means not understanding who Krishna is. The Sambandha Jnana is not deep. If you don't understand who Krishna is, you cannot have a relationship. If you think the chanting of the holy name is exaggeration, and Krishna is the holy name, that's or you chant holy name for the fulfillment of material desires. It's offensive. So it's that respect. That's the problem. This to become situated correctly in our relationship with Krishna, we must hear again and again about who Krishna is and about his unlimited potencies. This is a very important point, that developing this faith, that so Abhas means faint light or indirect image. And Haridas Thakur gives a few details there that so he says, one can chant the holy name with distorted faith. So if people with distorted faith receive the holy name, the name they take is also distorted. He speaks about partial faith. From partial faith comes dim namabhas, which eventually develops in the pure name and love of God. That is namabhas, he says. Such as clouds obstruct full brilliance of the sun, so the clouds of anarthas and the mist of ignorance in the jiva's heart allow only a faint light of the name to enter. So distorted faith comes from not understanding Krishna's position. Did I tell this story here from the Brahman? Narada Muni meeting the Brahman and the cobbler? No. Well, once Narada Muni was traveling, he travels to the material and spiritual world. And Narada Muni comes and visits a Paka Brahman. That the Brahman was very happy to see Narada Muni, and he worshipped him, washed his feet and welcomed him. And he asked Narada Muni, well, where will you go? And Narada Muni said, I will go to Vaikuntha, see Lord Narayan. And the Brahman said, oh, you will go to see Lord Narayan? Can you ask him, please, how many births that I have still to undergo in the material world before returning to the spiritual world? And the Brahman said, please ask your Krishna. Ask him. He said, your Krishna. Good, Narada Muni said, and Narada Muni continued his travels, and he came to a cobbler who was a devotee. A cobbler is just a shoemaker. He makes shoes and he's in contact with leather and so on. It's not a high profession, it's a Shudra profession. But when the cobbler saw Narada Muni, he started to dance out of joy and of disrespect to Narada Muni. And he asked Narada Muni, where are you going? And Narada Muni said, I'm going to see the Lord of Vaikuntha, Narayan. Oh, that's very good. The cobbler said, please offer him my respects. And when you come back, tell me about the meeting. So then, Narada went to Vaikuntha and met Lord Narayan. Then he asked Lord Narayan about his Brahman. How many births does he have still to go? And Lord Narayan said, oh, many, many, many births. But Narada Muni said, that's such a Baka Brahman, so many births. And yes, Lord Narayan said, but this cobbler that you met, he will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. But how can I understand that, Narada Muni said? Well, Lord Narayan said, when they ask you what I was doing, you just tell them that I was pushing an elephant to the eye of a needle. And Narada Muni said, okay. So Narada Muni went back and he met first his Brahman, and the Brahman received politely and worshipped Narada Muni as before. And then he asked, did you go to Vaikuntha? And Narada Muni said, yes. And what did your Krishna say? How many lifetimes I have to go? And Narada Muni said, oh, the Lord said many, many, many lifetimes. And then the Brahma said, did you really go to Vaikuntha? Tell me, what was Lord Narayan doing? And Narada Muni said, he was pushing an elephant to the eye of a needle. And the Brahma said, impossible, you did not go to Vaikuntha. And then Narada Muni continued his travel, and sometime later he came to this cobbler. And this cobbler, when he saw Narada Muni again, started to smile and to dance out of joy, chanting the holy name. And then he asked Narada Muni, did you go to Vaikuntha? And I said, yes, I saw the Lord. And what was the Lord doing? Oh, he said, he was pushing an elephant to the eye of a needle. And the cobblers entered a state of ecstasy and started to chant. And then Narada Muni said, do you believe that? And the cobbler said, of course. He said, you see this banyan tree here? This huge banyan tree that it produces these very tiny seeds, thousands of these seeds. And every seed have the potency to create again a huge banyan tree. And this banyan tree can again produce seeds. It produced again a huge banyan tree. So if Krishna can put such a potency in a little seed, So, how can he then not push an elephant to the eye of a needle? My Lord can do everything he desires. He's unlimited omnipotence. So he had understood the position of the Lord. His sambandha was right, and therefore his faith was right. But if the faith is distorted, then its result will not come. So if one takes the name with distorted faith, he says, then Haridas Thakur says then that one will not progress to purification. This Anartha Nivritti will not take place. So that's the difference. Real Nama basis with faith. But if one chants the holy name with distorted Nama bas, born from cheating knowledge. Cheating knowledge means thinking that Brahman is higher than Krishna. And I can become Brahman. Then only one's offenses will increase. And that's Nama Parad. So the Mayavadis, they chant also the holy name. It's Nama Parad. That they think they can become God. So because accepting the position of Krishna means giving up the tendency to enjoy this world. Otherwise, one cannot be situated really as a servant of Krishna. So this is important knowledge given from Harinam Chintamani. Next slide. Let's see what's the next one. Yeah, so that we discussed already. Next one. Ida Darbaliam, we discussed that also. Apparat offense, the 4 offenses. Yeah, next. Okay. So, Sambandha Tattva, that's been just discussed. The knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. The devotee must accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He must depend on Krishna only, considering him the only protector. We have the tendency to depend on so many other things in this world. But it should become only Krishna. Only Krishna can save me. But otherwise, yeah, we cannot progress really in the chanting of the holy name. The next one, the effect of Namabhas. If we chant Namabhas, these 5 kleshas are removed gradually. That is what Anartha Nivritti does. It removes this, it removes all our karma. And we'll speak about that tomorrow. The nullification of anarthas in the second part. That next one. Namabhas. That we also discussed the 4 types of namabhas. That next one. That we will discuss tomorrow. So how to progress? No. Now we know what anarthas are, right? We know the importance of sambandha jnana. So, how to progress from this bhajana kriya to anartha nivritti? That is giving up these offenses. But giving up these offenses means giving up an offensive mentality. And therefore, the chanting of the holy name must be combined with hearing daily Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and discussing amongst devotees. If we don't have taste for hearing about Krishna from the Bhagavatam, that's a problem that prevents us to enter Namabhas. Because the Bhagavatam is Krishna. And the Bhagavatam, by hearing, will teach us how to respect devotees. We have even seen, we are discussing in the morning, Chitraketu's slight offense there was corrected. We spoke also in the morning about how Sudama Vipra, his attachment to be a steer of the Brahman, how it was corrected. These are subtle things, but also the gross things are corrected by hearing the Bhagavatam. By hearing the Bhagavatam, surely this knowledge and attachment comes, which helps us to give up these offenses. Knowledge of sambandha jnana. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave us these books. He said, I wrote these books for you. If you are not reading my books, Guru Abhakya, this is the third offense against the holy name. How can we progress if we are not doing that? So that combination will help us. Of course, one must also follow the basic instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana, think of Krishna. Bhava madbhakto, become my devotee. That comes from thinking of Krishna. What makes us think of Krishna? Hearing about Krishna, the Bhagavatam. And discussing about Krishna. Then you become his devotee. And when you become his devotee, then you worship him. You worship him, you offer him respects, Nam Namaskar. And then we give up everything else. And put ourselves under the shelter of Krishna. And then Krishna says, then you must explain this knowledge of this dialogue between me and Arjuna to others. You must give that knowledge to others, but not to those who are not austere, who are envious of me. So who are faithless about me. Ninth offense against holy name. You cannot instruct people about the holy name who have no faith. Ninth offense. But then Krishna says, but there will be no one more dear than the preacher. He wants us to preach. These are Krishna's basic instructions. Are we preaching? Are we endeavor to think of Krishna and absorbs our mind in him and so on? So that's all required to chant in the correct sambandha jnana. So this is very important. If you are not doing these things, you will not enter Nama Bas and not really purify your heart. It will be a very slow process of many lifetimes. So I hope that clarifies something. So sometimes, many times I get the question, I chanting, I'm doing this and that, but I don't make progress. What's the cause? The cause is here. Understanding this Anartha Nivritti. How to come in Anartha Nivritti. Once you are in Anartha Nivritti, most work is done. You will progress to it. But give up this mentality which obstructs us to enter, to develop real love for Krishna. It are all these anarthas. Good. We have a few minutes for a question. Yes, please. Yeah, bhakti. It doesn't depend on purity. Yeah. Well, if you chant the holy name and you are not pure, but you chant it without offenses, it will purify you. The example of this is Ajamil. He was very impure. And he chanted the holy name to call his son. And he was not chanting the holy name with an offensive mentality. There was no Namaparat. And it was so powerful that he entered the beginning of Namabhas, which purified him from all his sinful activities. This is an example of an impure person chanting the holy name without Namaparat, and therefore he got purified. Because when we chant, we are directing our chanting to Krishna. But we have still the offensive mentality. We want to get out something out of our relationship, which is called material desires. So that's the power of the holy name. It's completely independent. When one is impure, it doesn't matter. It will work. But one must give up the offenses. And our offenses is that we want to get something out of the holy name, or we don't believe in the power of the holy name. The 10 offenses. But Haridas the Guru did not commit his 10 offenses. Of course, that purified him from his sinful actions. But that brought him only halfway. Ajamil, after his near-death experience, understood his situation. After his near-death experience, Ajamil, he understood, he remembered the conversation with the Vishnu Dutas and the Amadutas. And then he had to perform Bhajana Kriya and go to the process. Because his reactions from his sinful activities were gone. But we will hear tomorrow to develop love for Krishna. There are a few more things to eradicate from the heart, not only the absence of Namaparant. But anyway, he became completely pure by following sadhana afterwards. He went to Hardwar and performed seva for the deity and chanting, and he went back to God. So that's the power of the holy name. It doesn't depend on purity. And that makes our process very different than all the other yoga processes. Other yoga processes require purity, but the chant of the holy name not. Akama Savakamba Moksha Kamudata Tivena Bhakti Yogana Chaite Parasampuram. Whether you are full of material desires or have no material desires, or you desire liberation, it doesn't matter. You perform Bhakti Yoga with great strength and you will become purified. So, performing devotional service means becoming like children. Children, they don't have envy. Sometimes they fight with another, and then a few minutes later they are friends. That becoming simple and understanding the power of the holy name. Ajamil was not chanting with an offensive mentality against the holy name, but we are doing it. And that's the problem. It's the impure intentions against the holy name and misconceptions that makes it difficult. It's important to understand this point. Does that help? Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we will continue tomorrow with the eradication of the anarthas Srila Prabhupada ki.